Can a game theory solve a problem of the global pandemic? This is the story about humanity's morals, our individual greed, Star Trek, some trashy British TV show, perfume stores, and our own survival. The year 2020 will be remembered as the year of the pandemic of global proportions that will have tectonic repercussions on the way we live. But 2021 will be remembered as the worldwide effort to cure the humankind. Now, with the plenty of vaccines possible, with a high efficiency rate that can be a solution to the global epidemic problem, the question that arises is how to distribute the vaccine and who should have the priority. Can people who wait or are indecisive about getting the vaccine endanger the whole effort? And if some people do not take the vaccine, yet most of the population does, will they get a free ride? Questions get exponentially more diverse and complex after this. This is why I decided to employ game theory as the field of economics and mathematics to shine a light on this very problem. My name is Vlade Savradak, I'm writer and mathematician, and this is Fabric of Life, the show where we try to merge science and art to answer the questions that bother us every day. From complex statistics to the classical literature, we use all the knowledge. Let me take you on an adventure. It's a beautiful day outside, so I decided to go for a walk. I'm looking for one perfume store to explain this game theory a little bit better. But in the meantime, what I would like to start with is this old British TV show that I usually present to my students who are interested in the first lecture of game theory called Prisoner's Dilemma. In this show, presenter offers a money prize to a couple of contestants, but there is a twist.
Your jackpot for today is £40,015. The question is now, can you keep it? You each have a golden ball with the word split written inside. You each have a golden ball with the word steal written inside. I will ask you in a moment to choose either the split or the steal. If you both choose the split ball, you will split today's jackpot of £40,015 and you will go home, each of you, with £20,007.50. If one of you chooses split and the other one chooses steal, whoever chooses the split ball goes home with nothing. But whoever chooses the steal ball goes home with the whole £40,015.
Yes, you understood it well. Contestants are faced one against another. If one person cons another into believing that he or she is a good person and that he or she is ready to share the prize and yet turns his back on the other contestant, he will get it all. If they both agree to share the prize, each of the contestants gets half. But if they're both selfish and greedy, nobody gets anything. This is the perfect example of Prisoner's Dilemma, a ground chapter of game theory where two individuals might not cooperate even when it seems in their best interest to do so. Split or Steal is a compelling game and it's really interesting to watch, and I promise you will find out what happened in this episode later on, but right now I want to explain to you what it has to do with our ongoing battle with the pandemic. Here is one of the many Douglas perfume and makeup stores around Germany. Before the second lockdown, managers of Douglas decided to keep their stores open because they cited that they have creams for the face and therefore their stores are something closer to the pharmacy and therefore essential business. They stated that many creams are therapeutic for their customers. What a BS, resulting in people flocking to them in weeks prior to New Year's Eve because having a bronzer and mascara is therapeutic for some people. Now you see where is the game theory in this scenario. All retail stores around the country decided to close their stores and mutually agreed to share their losses in hope for curbing the virus and future health of the population. But one company saw that as their opportunity to take the customers from the other retail stores. By game theory, they are selfish and greedy players who decided that winners should take it all. When nothing was working, there was a queue of people waiting for their mascara in freezing cold. But this being strongly regulated country, government shut the operation down after a couple of days and probably issued a fine. Plus, they lost their trust of their customers, putting profits in front of the general health of the population. Do you see where I'm going with this? The pandemic presents an everyday complexity of such games. If everyone acted altruistically, wore masks, kept the social distance and followed the stay-at-home orders, we would be able to curb the number of infections dramatically. Unfortunately, like any other game, it is impossible to expect that all players in this game will act rationally. And different people have different payoffs. Students, for example, need to pay a higher price for participating in a greater good. They need to cancel parties, hangouts, group studies and travels while reaping the lesser personal benefit. In most cases, they will only have lighter symptoms if they contracted the virus. On the other side of the spectrum, someone much older will not need to worry about missing parties or sports arenas. But if they contracted the virus, probability of having life-threatening symptoms is much higher. And this is why it's almost impossible to expect anywhere in the world for people to act rationally in a game theory sense. And this is where we come to most complex part of the game theory of the pandemic: vaccination. It will only work if the majority of people decide to take the vaccine, not only people in the risk groups. Yet information circle, thanks to the false news and conspiracy theories, is so clogged that some people will play wait-and-see game. People who choose not to be vaccinated effectively get a free ride, reaping the benefits of reduced virus transmission generated by the people who do opt for the vaccination. But the free riders generate a collective threat. If not enough people get the protection in the form of the vaccine, virus will be alive and well, and even mutate. In this case, like the British TV show from the very beginning, everybody can go home empty-handed. For Dr. Bauch, who runs the lab at University of Waterloo, this is not a new problem. In 2003, the breakthrough paper on group interest versus self-interest in a smallpox vaccination policy discussed game theory approach and tried to find the group optimum for vaccination in the world where vaccines is not mandatory and where self-interest may cause the harm in the group. In a whole, this paper is very complex and I would need more than 3 videos to explain it, but what Dr. Bauch and his team found out is that following the game theory results, people will answer for the call to vaccinate their children much less than they suggest in the polls. Like a TV show from the beginning, people were promising other players that they will act altruistic, but planned not to follow on that promise. They hope that everyone else will vaccinate their children, and their child will be protected by other players. Needless to say, when a lot of people think like this, it can lead to catastrophic consequences. Now, researchers have an almost impossible task: to combine 2 types of models. One was an epidemiological model of virus transmission, a pillar used for decades that factors in things like seasonality, susceptibility to infection according to age, and variations in the vaccine's performance. The other is a game theory model that factored in human behavior and drew on Google data that revealed who went where and when. This new game theory model should predict who gets in contact with more people. Logically, health workers will come first to mind in order to distribute the vaccination optimally. The new game theory model predicts that some people will act selfishly and some rationally, that some will travel and visit friends and lie about taking the vaccine while others will act responsibly. And now, if you know me and if you're familiar with this TV show, you know that I will try to sprinkle some classical literature on the top, or maybe to try to connect this very problem with some classical art, because you know that every question that we face today is already described somewhere in the classical art or classical literature. And last time I mentioned Lord of the Rings, and I stand behind it. But today, this problem can be described and conveyed even better with one of the most recognizable scenes from the famous TV show Star Trek.
Don't grieve, Admiral. It is logical. the needs of the many outweigh
the needs of the few.
or the one.
Well said, Spock. Well said. And now, the moment you've been all waiting for. What happened in that trashy British TV show from the very beginning of this episode?
If I look into your eyes and I see that you're genuine and you're going to split that money with me, I promise you, I will make the same decision with you. Can't be more straightforward and honest than that.
I'm going to ask you to choose a split or a steel ball now.
I've made my decision. I'm choosing this ball.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Steve, Tracy. Split or steel? Steve, you have just stolen £40,015. I have to congratulate you.
Thank you.
Tracy, you've just lost £20,007.50.
Message is clear. Don't be a cunt like that guy. If you understand science, you understand that we can all go home with a full price. Hey, if you like this episode of Fabric of Life, consider subscribing to the channel. Every week we are taking you on new adventures. Next week I will take you deep down the rabbit hole of internet to discuss why we love memes. Until then, stay tuned and curious, and don't forget, libraries still exist.